Hello everyone, my name is Adam Michael Anthony Simpson and you're watching my YouTube channel, Adam M.A. Simpson. Today we'll be speaking with Dorothy Tovar. Dorothy is a dear friend of Vicky and mine, and she studies in the Department of Microbiology and Immunology here at Stanford. Dorothy is very interesting because she studies, antiviral immune responses in bats, which is very applicable to this time of COVID. So I hope you stay tuned for part 2 where we talk about Dorothy's research. Also, Dorothy does tremendous amounts of outreach, including being part of DCOR here at Stanford, as well as starting the Stanford Black Biosciences Organization, SBBO, at Stanford as well. Now, Dorothy is also an if-then ambassador for AAAS, and so she's been featured on Teen Vogue, 17 magazine, as well as Girl Scouts of America. She is like a big deal. She even has a, sculpture of her in Central Park in New York. A little side note, nothing big, Everybody has a statue of themselves, I have a statue that speaks and is me. Also, if you guys haven't noticed yet, the times for specific answers of questions are in the description box below. So if you're running out of time but you really want to find out what the guest, or in this case Dorothy, says for a specific question, or you like a particular question, just go to the time in the description and you'll get to see the direct answer instead of waiting throughout the whole video. Stay tuned and I hope you enjoy this video with Dorothy. Dorothy, please introduce yourself and your background.
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Dorothy Tovar, and I am a 6th-year PhD student in Stanford's Microbiology and Immunology program. I had co-advised between Carla Kierkegaard and Elizabeth Hadley, and my dissertation research focuses on understanding antiviral immune responses in bats.
Wow, couldn't be more relevant right now in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I've known you since my first year here, and you're a dear friend of Vicky and mine. Been there to support us and laugh with us as CAs and in Mungo when we were,
Exactly.
So, and I know that you have Caribbean roots. So does this play into your choice of going to graduate school?
Yeah, definitely.
Also, where? Go there.
Where? Both of my parents are from Haiti in the Caribbean, and all of my family is from there as well. And so, being a first-generation Haitian American has had a huge impact on my upbringing, just culturally. And then also in terms of my research interests and wanting to come to grad school. When I was visiting Haiti as a kid, I kind of had this personal brush with diseases. I was infected with an intestinal parasite, and being like a 6-year-old American kid, I was shook.
Wow.
And I think that experience really got me kind of thinking about access to clean food and water and healthcare. Obviously, I didn't have all of the words for it at the time, but that experience just really stuck with me, and that, just being in a country like Haiti, that's a developing country, that people are more at risk of getting diseases like intestinal parasites that in the States is pretty much unheard of.
Yeah.
And it also, helped me feel deeply connected to people who are impacted by these inequalities, right? We often hear about X number of people are infected with intestinal parasites a year. And when you're sitting in a classroom and you hear that information, it feels really distant and disconnected, but I think that experience really made it personal for me. And so on one end, there's this like justice aspect of it. And then on the other hand, I was also really fascinated by the biology that allows some organism to decide to live in me and be able to do so. And so it kind of like upset me, but also made me really curious at the same time. So I think that combination of responses that I had to that experience kind of led me to wanting to address those issues by, pursuing a PhD and studying some of these diseases more directly.
Wow, that's super interesting. And like when you speak about viruses, like people dispute whether or not they're alive. Some people say they're alive, some people say they're not. And like the whole driving force for a virus is to survive, right? So I think that, like as you said with the parasite, like survival and how it interacts with the human, the body to live, to survive, and then how that translated to your interest in biology. I think that's very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique how I got started.
Yeah. Wow. And your academic background, your research background shows tremendous, you've had a lot of research experience since your undergraduate career at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where you worked in the Webley lab from 2012 to 2015. You also did summer internships at UPenn in 2014, Stanford in 2013, and Northeastern in 2012. So it seems as though you were resolute in your decision from a very young age to be a scientist. Can you glean us into how you chose this path?
Yeah. So I guess I kind of, already gave you a sneak peek in the last question. I had already started thinking about these things at like 6, which is really early. And it feels really extra, as a 6-year-old.
I'm going to be a scientist.
Right, yeah. So I just started reading a lot of books, and I was always really interested in science anyway. And so I always watched tons of Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, just trying to expose myself to everything out there. And around the time I was in high school, I got really interested in this sci-fi phase. I think it was it probably coincided with me watching the Resident Evil movies, and I was viruses, and then viruses in this really crazy way. And so I was super into sci-fi and started reading a lot of science fiction books about viruses. And in one of my favorite books, there was this scientist, this really cool scientist. He's the best in the world. And he got his PhD from Stanford. And then I was bet. PhD from Stanford.
Wow.
That was my response in high school. I was I'm going to get a PhD in microbiology from Stanford. Period.
Well,
period.
Look at you now.
Yeah,
wow, that's inspirational.
Another way there now. Yeah. So, I think it really helped that I had that I honestly didn't even know what that meant at that time, right? I was just this is someone who I admire in this book, and this is what he did to become this kind of scientist, so that's what I want to do now.
Wow. And
I think having that end goal allowed me to be really intentional about where I went to college, what kind of opportunities I leveraged. So yeah, it seems like I planned out my research career, and it's mostly because I did.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm very type A in that way of just I started college. I chose UMass Amherst because it was one of the only colleges that I applied to that allowed me to be a microbiology major for my undergraduate degree.
Wow.
So I got to get really specific really fast, which I really liked. And it also then exposed me to the faculty member whose lab I was in for most of my time there. And, UMass is great at connecting us with internships. And so just knowing that, if you want to get a PhD in science or really in anything, it's always best to have these hands-on experiences. And so I just kind of was very hungry and driven to get those and have been very blessed to be able to have done so much.
Yeah, research is very important. In undergrad, like that experience is very important for, going on to the PhD. And that's amazing that, you had that goal and you stuck with it. I love to see that in people. And I think you're an example of that for young girls and women interested in STEM. And men too. So.
And men too.
Yes. Yes. And
non-people of color
and everybody. Exactly. So now, Dorothy, you have done some amazing things with leadership at Stanford. You started the Stanford Black Biosciences Organization, SBBO. That's actually how I started to really interact with you here. And you also founded the Stanford Medicine Diversity Center of Representation and Empowerment, otherwise known as DCORE. And you're providing representation, which is extremely important for African American, Afro-Caribbean youth as a scientist by being an if-then ambassador for AAAS, which even got you featured in Teen Vogue, 17 magazine, and Girl Scouts of America. Love those cookies. You even have a statue in Central Park, New York, and you are still alive. You have a statue and you're still alive. And I'm like, I want a statue. We all know, representation is very important, as I said before. At its core, what is your major motivation in doing this tremendous work for your community?
Yeah. When you read the list like that, it's like, wow. When did I have time to do something? So I guess the reason why I've done so much is because I really do care about the people who are impacted by the work that I do. And so like the first two examples that you brought up of starting SBBO and DCORE at Stanford kind of stem from me just having a really hard time transitioning into grad school. I grew up in Boston, and so moving away from home, as I'm sure you also understand, like moving away from everybody, like all of your support system, and trying to reestablish a community somewhere else while also trying to start a PhD is really challenging. And I think we don't give people enough credit who do just like become transplants somewhere else. And, always having a community of other people of color has always been really important to me. And so when I got to Stanford, I was always like trying to find the Black people, trying to find where the Black people were. And especially on med campus, I would be like looking out the window if I saw someone walk by and be like, who is that person? I need them to talk to me. Like, I need someone to help me here. And kind of realizing as I talked to Tawaun, who is one of our co-founders, both SBBO and the DCORE, that like I'm not the only person who does this, and I'm not like I wasn't telling anyone for the longest time that I was doing this, but finally
it's internal.
I wasn't being crazy, and that there is actually I don't want to say universal need, but a shared need among people to find community. And we already had BGSA, which is across all of the grad school, that was doing a great job of connecting Black students, but
you need immediate.
Just identifying the dearth of community that there was for Black students in the biosciences and feeling like we had a critical mass of enough students of color there who would participate in events and stuff, that we just, with the support of Terrence Mays and some other administrators, got the go ahead to do it. And that's
awesome.
Been great. And SBBO I have since stepped back. And so it's really nice. Yeah, I need to graduate.
Yeah, exactly. That's critical.
Yeah, so it's really nice to step back and see that, it's continuing on and people are still attending events and they're still planning great events. And then from there, kind of thinking about how I wanted to scale that impact and, make it a bigger impact. I applied for the If Then ambassadorship, wanting to reach more girls in general and just kind of get them interested in STEM and see my face and kind of, I guess to bring it full circle, I wanted other people to have the moment that I did when I was in high school and I was like, this awesome scientist got their PhD at Stanford, so I'm gonna go get my PhD at Stanford. Like I want more girls who look like me to see me and have that experience and be like, well, if she can do it, then it's also accessible to me and I'm gonna go pursue my dreams as well. Maybe it's not microbiology, maybe it's not bats, but that you have some passion that you're really excited about and just feeling inspired by seeing someone else accomplish their own dreams and having that push you to pursue your own.
Love that. Awesome. Thanks for watching part 1 of this interview with Dorothy. Tovar, stay tuned for tomorrow midday time when I'll post the part 2 where Dorothy speaks about her super interesting research that has applicability to COVID-19. Please like and subscribe.